So we're now live. Yeah, who wants to start us off? Dieter's first on my screen.
There we go. The punishment for logging in early.
Yes, absolutely.
The main thing in my code, not in SimPEG, but yeah, it has now only on master, not yet on a release, but it has now the principal command line utilities to do a forward model or to do the gradient so far. So what we do in the consortium, they do this joint inversion, and so they gonna, it's not that I run inversions, but I just need the gradient. So this can now be done via command line with one input, terminal input arguments, and the other thing is also with a config file and config file parsing. So that's now in and works, or is currently being tested by the other parties. So yeah, that's the main thing I would say. Other than that, pushing me to finally do that paper we promised. Yeah, paper is a difficult topic.
Fair enough. Well, it would be cool actually, maybe at some point when you're happy with it, to actually walk us through the config file, because it would be nice if we actually sort of thinking about some of the SimPEG, potentially like a command line interface down the line, if we can align these so that you could actually send, it would be great to be able to send the same config file to both SimPEG and EMG3D.
I think what I found, and I'm actually not, that's actually still a bit flaky, because I think what you first have to define is the file formats, because as soon as you do command line stuff, you will have to input and output files, and so this GeoSci.xyz or subsurface or things. So at the moment I just have my own format, but that is not very satisfying, but it can be changed. And in my case, it's a small thing, but I think with something bigger like SimPEG, it's probably the best way to start with file formats. Yeah. Because in SimPEG, if you release it very soon, a lot of people are going to use it, and then to change it is a bit painful, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can, whenever there is a Wednesday with some time, I can run an example or so. Yeah.
That'd be great. And actually, on that note, would you mind just announcing that subsurface meeting, so that everyone here is aware of that? Because I think a few of us are looped in on Slack, but not necessarily everyone.
Yeah, so this subsurface was kind of what came out of a hackathon at the Transform, where we want to have this package that can talk between a lot of different packages at the moment, mainly in PyGimli, Fatiando, GeoSci, SimPEG, myself, and probably some others. And DOM with GeoH5, what is it called? Yeah, and PyVista, of course, as well. That's an important one. And we're gonna have a meeting. When is it? On the, we shifted it, Monday 28th.
No longer the 14th. Okay, sounds good.
No, you didn't receive it in the Slack. I thought I pinged you. Yeah, because right. Florian Wagner from PyGimli, he actually asked what is the status. So that was the reason I thought we could make a catch-up meeting, but then he is on holiday on the 14th. So it's 2 weeks later. And the time, I don't know, what's your time? It's here at 6, so it's like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9:30 here, yeah. If it's only the day, then it's 9 here, yeah.
Yeah. So anyone is more than welcome to join in, and silently or very verbose opinions. It's really still at a very early stage. The interesting thing is that Miguel from GeoSci, I don't know who knows that, they have, he is about to finish his PhD, and they built a startup for GeoSci. So that's a company now where GeoSci is going to remain open source. It's mainly they do consulting or implement feature. That's the idea, and some research money. So one part of their proposal is actually to build something like this for easier interaction with GeoSci models to other tools. So he has in that way a serious interest that he has to do it. Bain is also very interested from the VTK side, and I think Dom also has sort of the green light from his boss. So we hope it's actually going to happen somehow. Yeah. And it would be cool if you then can go with some magnetics from Fatiando to SimPEG, or between your code and my code, or PyGimli at some point, even with finite element meshes, and then go to SimPEG and back and all that stuff.
Was it announced officially here that they were going commercial? I didn't see anything.
Terranigma, yeah, it's the company is called Terranigma. If you look in Zwang by Miguel, he has the company name in his bracket. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the heads up, Lindsay.
Yeah, thanks, Dieter. That'll be good. And if you don't mind, could you, when the meeting gets closer, maybe the day or so before, if you could just drop a reminder for us.
Yes, and I also hope to record it. Remember to record it, and I will probably bug one person to take some notes. Yes, for future.
That sounds good. And if you want to post it on the SimPEG YouTube or the GeoSci YouTube, you're welcome to. Or if you got somewhere else in mind, that's fine. But yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, I thought so, because we started there the channel, right? So I thought, yeah, I kick in there if that's fine. Thanks.
That'll be fun. I'm excited about that. Cool. Thibaut, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I don't have much on the SimPEG side. I got things to distract me, and with the merging of the PGI branch, as I say, it was a bit complicated, and I realized that if I do it for a bit and then I leave it for a few days, I don't remember what I tried, and it's just starting over. Yeah, I've had things keeping me out of that, but mostly reading papers, doing reworking a bit the presentation based on your comments last week. Thanks again, everyone, for that. Oh, hi, Daniel in Sogi's picture. Yeah, and working on proof for the different journal. Finally done. We finally settled down on a proof with interpretation. We got 4 rounds to make it right, but it's done. So yeah, that's about it for me on the on this side.
Excellent. Dom, do you have any updates?
No new coding. I saw, Joe, your request, but I just saw that you merged it in the end, so sorry about that. Did you see did you see again or last?
Yeah, do a lot more error checking, so I think that's probably a contributor to the fact. You should still at least double check how well it scales with larger meshes and stuff, but still.
Okay, yeah, right.
I know it works properly. It's just test the scaling a little bit, see if it starts breaking.
Sounds good. Otherwise, my plan in the short term will be to finally migrate, just because people I've been asked to. Nick basically wants me to move on. So, but what's preventing me to do it, and I will need to do a pull request for it, is basically the parallelization over the tiling, right? Which currently we don't have on 014. And then we need EM1D to be fully merged in. So I'm not sure what the status is, how far we are from this to happen. I guess Devin's not here, but
yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at that, but I'm I'm planning to do it. I have a strong desire, but haven't had a chance to do it. But yeah, I'll yeah, within 2 to 3 weeks, I'll yeah, that's time when I'm going to dive in and do something.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I can definitely pitch in too once I'm at that point. And yeah, Joe. So for the I'm guessing for the parallelization on the tiles, we're just gonna have an extra replacement in the
Yeah.
sorry,
I,
in
I
the
can work. I can show you how to go through it. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, what's the parallelization flag again?
Dask.
Dask. That's
Make that that.
yeah.
At least for now.
I'm probably gonna call you when I'm at that point. Yeah. And otherwise, the big carbon project, SimPEG is going to be shining. We finished, over like 60 inversions over BC, so that will be more promo for SimPEG. That's okay.
What is that? The carbon project?
Yeah, it's they want to estimate how much carbon sequestration potential there is in BC. So they basically they selected 100 sites that they knew that there were some sort of units, and then they wanted to have a volume estimate of all those units in BC. So that's a MDRU project. Yeah, it's probably gonna come up before the end of the year for sure. Yeah.
And you use the SimPEG DC code?
No, right now it's all mag because we
Oh.
only have coverage, and it's a good proxy basically, short story. Yeah.
That's also good motivation. It would be nice in the docs if we get like a publications page or like projects using SimPEG. I don't actually even think it strictly needs to be publications, but it would be great if we actually have pointers out to the world of like where SimPEG's being used for various things. Yeah.
Yeah, once I have a hyperlink, I can add it for sure.
That sounds good. Cool. John.
Yeah, well, I guess the good stuff, I guess, is been doing some of the MT inversions. We also just tested out the 1D with just a project we just had going on here a couple weeks ago in northern Saskatchewan, and yeah, the 1D code seems to be doing really well. Where it matches with some of the gradient maps that we've had previously there, and we did a dipole through there, and yeah, everything seems to be driving. All done with SimPEG, nice. But yeah, they agree, the DC and the MT. Well, we've only got like 5 stations right now. We had to stop because of some weather, but when we get more stations, I'll be putting it into the 3D code and then have test that one, I guess, to see how well it combines or how well it compares.
So did you have really high frequencies then for the MT?
I think we only went up to about 130 hertz right now. Yeah, so the inversion that we did was, yeah, it wasn't including any of the high frequency yet. We're going to do that next.
Because in order to match the DC is seeing pretty shallow, right? And so.
Oh wait, actually, yeah, I am looking at
pretty high frequencies in the MT to kind of have them overlap.
Yeah, actually, they just sent me that. That's true. I didn't look at that very clearly, but that would make sense. It's going to be the high frequency. Actually, I'm just going to double check that result here. Yes. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. We're up at about 1,000 hertz up there. So, yeah. Not super high. Yeah, other than that, yeah, I've been messing with those solvers quite a bit. This has been, yeah, it's been quite difficult. I pretty much found that any of the solvers, like even Cholmod, Mumps, and Paradiso, if I run it on my 30 core machine as opposed to my 128 core machine, there is no gain. It says it's using the cores and it's using everything, but you get no gain. And I'm maybe thinking that's maybe just our problem. Just, yeah, the DC, or I guess all of them. I've been testing it with MT as well. Another couple of things is that Mumps is pretty fast. It does the LDL there, Joe, that you were saying that Cholmod does. It does it for the positive definite matrices, but we don't have that every time. So in general, Paradiso's still the better solver because just we can throw anything at it and it'll just chug through it. Whereas Mumps Mumps just doesn't handle anything other than positive definite, or just general symmetrics really well. Anything else, it slows down a lot. So that's kind of unfortunate. Then I've tried parallelizing over the solvers, kind of like what we did back like a year or so ago there, Dom. Just trying it with mumps and just setting it to like one thread. That's all it needs. I can have full control over mumps, but still there's something that they're battling over in the background, because if I dask it or if I multi-processing, whatever module I use, they both, well, one is they can't pickle it, and then in dask, it just dumps the cores. It has a seg fault. So that kind of is unfortunate.
John, if you have a minimal example of that, there's an issue on Dask that they're actually starting to, I think, look into this. I think I posted it. I'll dig it up again, because that might be actually insightful for them to be able to have a look at. Because what they, like, as far as I understand, sort of the idea that they were basically looking at is to actually just try and monitor the progress of a single computation and then see if threads are oversubscribed or if CPU is oversubscribed, and then use that to basically say like, oh yeah, there's some sort of other parallelization going under the hood. We can't also oversubscribe on top of that. So if you have a minimal example, it might be nice for us to be able to sort of join in on that conversation and help guide things a bit for our use cases.
I've got it all set up. Code's being taken apart and put back together in different ways. And on that note, you use do the solver, and then you got to use parallelization again. So you're not really getting that much gains, but it was something. CholMod is a pretty good solver, except if I have the problem too big, it just says the problem's too big and it can't handle it. So that might be though, because I think I can actually pass just like the upper triangle, and that might give us a little bit more room. But then again, there is a chance that it might just get too big, and that's only for positive definite matrices as well, which we don't have in every case. But yeah, I will get that Dask example up for sure.
So John, when you're testing the scaling, are you testing like the scaling of the factorization phase on all of them?
Yeah, and again, they're all like all of them. I think actually CholMod though is parallelized in that sense, but mumps and Paradiso, they're all just sequential through the factorization.
Yeah, I'd imagine at some point the factorization just kind of, you can't parallelize it too much more. It's an interesting process. The way that it gets solved in parallel, it's a like graph theory. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what those Stotch and Métis packages are. They're just like
they reorder it so that you can break it up into more like stems of a tree, basically, or branches.
It seems though that they need MPI to do that though. When you compile those sequential forms, they just can't utilize that for some reason. But maybe, the CholMod though, it looks like it's actually doing a lot in parallel during that phase. So yeah, again, I like CholMod. It's just that went too big a matrix.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't play around with things that day.
Oh,
I would hope that they would scale better if you're solving more right-hand sides though. Like I imagine they could all scale fairly well with that.
Yeah, mumps was good for that, and CholMod up to a certain size as well. Paradiso actually, didn't. When I looked at the code, it almost looks like he's doing them individually, like he's actually just calling the solve. Or was it Dave who wrote that grapher? Yeah, it almost seems like he's not actually solving all the right-hand sides. When it's like sending them all to Paradiso, he's actually just going through and chopping through. So I think that's why mumps shows some good speed gains there, because it actually does them all in parallel right-hand sides. So yeah. So then I started thinking about how I think you guys talked about this before, but having like parallelizing, say, over taking one simulation and then just having like a bunch of sub simulations that are just like one source, its own mesh, and things like that. I was playing around with it a little bit, and it looks like if I can launch 2 simulations, and Paradiso doesn't complain. But I haven't looked at quite the results yet to see if, or run it enough to see if they are talking or switching up like we saw before, where the values just weren't coming back, or not all the values. So there might be something there. We might be able to just like somehow separating the solver from the simulation and just having it by itself maybe does something good, but I don't know. That's what I'm working on right now. Or testing, anyways.
It should, individual solver classes should be independent of each other. Like individual instances of the solver are independent of each other, but if you're trying to call the same solver instance, that's because it holds a bunch of like work arrays in memory that are unique to each instance of the solver. So if you're trying to call it multiple times, it's those work arrays that get overwritten with each other. It gets all messed up.
That's got to be it, yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to try and avoid that if we can set that up, and then that might set up into, we could even do it by frequencies or sources, whatever you want, and then send its own mesh or whatever. You could build from there. But if it works, I still got to test that idea.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, John, for sure. And then after this, you just need to make sure that you're not sending too many of those at the same time so that you don't run out of memory, right? Because now you're creating a bunch of solvers at the same time. So
yeah,
it might balloon up, but that's just a game.
Yeah, exactly. It's what do you want?
Yep.
For sure. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I've been up to.
Thanks, John. Joe, would you like to?
Sorry, just one quick question. With a very little chance. Do you run that in a notebook?
No, I've been running that all from script.
Okay, yeah. Because sometimes I had issues with parallel runs in notebooks. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of ran across that too. I think when Dom and I were playing with it, and I just thought, no, let's just start with the script and go from there.
Cool. Thanks, John. Joe, would you like to go next?
Sure. Like we were talking about with Dom earlier, I got a few of the volume averaging things a little bit more ironed out as far as we can make a few assumptions when they share the same base mesh. That makes it go a lot quicker, at least in those few cases. So I have that working for arbitrary tree meshes as long as they have the same base mesh. There's no requirements on like respective levels of each cell in it. So Dom, the original thing you had to put together required that every cell in the local mesh was the same or lower. But that is not a requirement anymore. So it's a little bit more general as well as far as that is concerned. Yeah, I pulled in a few of those things into Discretize earlier today. On SimPEG, I've been working on the line current for the tree mesh, getting that branch. There are a few still issues as far as testing, and it seems to be similar to some of the tests that have been failing on Travis recently, and I still cannot figure out why they're failing. My next step is to get a Ubuntu virtual image booted up and start testing inside of that to see if I can start reproducing it. But I haven't had any luck reproducing the seg faults on any of the machines I've tried. Last week I brought up a little bit about the mu inverse testing. Has anyone gotten a chance to look through that?
No, but that will be on my list. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's okay. I just double checking. It seems odd that it should, do an order test fail. So just double check and follow the path through. Yeah. So it's been a couple week or about a month since we had that a Friday afternoon session. If you guys are up for it again this week.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Does around the same time work for most people, or I think what time did we do it last time? Around 3:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30.
Yeah, 3 o'clock would be great for me if that would be
Okay, so I think let's do one of those again this week. They said it's been about a month, so it's about 4 weeks. So good time.
That sounds good. One question for you with the discretized work, is there a new release out?
I'm working on the release notes right now.
Excellent.
I'm thinking it's a little bit more than a patch, so I think it's 0.50.
Perfect.
If that makes sense it made sense to me. Like it's not necessarily a patch. Additions. Yeah.
And it's great. So discretize, I just look now, you're down to 4 pull requests open. So it's really up to.
There's a few small pull requests in there that we should at least check. I think we can look at some of those on Friday too and see the state of them and close them up if they're outdated or double check on a few things. So we'll deal with that on Friday then. Anytime I'm going to get that release notes out and push and tag it, and it should all automatically go to everywhere. So.
Excellent.
Other than that, I'm really close to submitting one of the papers for my thesis and on a second work that was outside of the thesis. So I should hopefully have both those in this week.
Nice. Congratulations.
What is it about, Joe?
One of them was combining and denoising gravity and gravity gradient data together using, so it's like optimally weighting them in an inversion is kind of the idea. So kind of combining, surface gravity with airborne gravity gradient data at the same time, and like figuring out optimal weights between the two data sets, and also regularizing the model at the same time to get a better overall picture. Supplement the missing long wavelength information in gravity gradient data.
Very useful.
Congrats
We'll
on
extend
that,
to Mag.
Joe. Yao will be really pleased.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dom.
No, I was saying very useful. We should extend this to Mag, right? Pretty quick, because after the talk of your boss, John, people are going to want to do more Mag radiometry.
Well, I hope so anyways.
I think, yeah.
Was that one recorded, Dom?
Yeah, I put it up on YouTube. I can post it.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I just had a simple way of automatically choosing the weights and gradients and weighting them.
Excellent. Well, look forward to seeing it. You'll have to send the links around when you get it out.
Sure.
Cool. Well, Sagi and Daniel.
Oh, sorry. Angela's out.
No worries.
Having a hard time to be focused on this meeting.
That's all right.
Nothing particular on my end. It's like that kind of revamping 1D code and 3D code up to date with is that 0.14? That's on my to-do list. I really want to do it. Yeah, there are quite a few other things going on in my life, so I haven't had a chance to do that. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see with Lindsay's example. It was interesting that Dieter was using the log resistivity. So yeah, it's so you need to be careful what you are going to average, because you can average resistivity, conductivity, or log of resistivity. Depending upon the problem, your choice of property is important. So yeah, like it's great to have a volumetric proper choice of what are you going to interpolate. So it's quite important depending upon the problem. Yeah, and then I don't have any update.
And then Daniel.
You mean the log in the volume averaging?
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, I found that usually to be a bit better, but yeah, it's not that the log one is correct or the linear one is correct, but yeah.
Yeah, for inductive source EM, it's actually makes sense to average conductivity. rather
Okay. Yeah.
log, because it's mostly like harmonically averaged, because like it's always tangential, like your fields. Not always, but mostly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then, does Daniel have any updates?
What, Joe?
Does Daniel have any updates?
Oh, he has lots of updates. So he can walk. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And he can say Papa and Mama. And what else he can do?
Solid food. Solid food.
He can shout. Yeah, he's having solid food. Absolutely.
Excellent. Thanks, Augie. Well, Doug, you now have the hard job of following Daniel.
I can walk.
That's good.
Actually, I'm standing now in front of my screen. I can actually stand on one foot. Get lots of exercise.
Excellent.
No, I think we've been consumed over the last week with all of the geophysics stuff, so the stuff for the SCG. So really, congratulations to the whole team here for getting all of those in. That's, 4 talks, all pre-recorded. So I think we're pretty much good to go. So we can catch our breath on that one and look at other things at this point.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Lindsay, do you have updates?
Sorry, Joe?
Lindsay, do you have any updates?
Any updates? I don't know what I do. No, I've been working on the, started working on the Marlin model, and I'm excited, Joe, that the discretize updates will be coming out, because I was running into issues compiling the new code when I think you were still in progress. So give that a go. And hopefully be able to show some of that this week. The recording of the SEG stuff took a really long time. Pre-recording a talk when there's no one watching you is a really weird thing to do. So that took me the better part of an afternoon to just like finally stop thinking about it and get through the entire talk. But anyways, it's done, and I think it was okay. Doug said it was okay. I couldn't watch it, so
it was great.
So I can send that around if folks are interested. Because I've sort of been actually trying to make some more progress on the UXO problem recently with that, and kind of thinking through some new examples that Black Tusk sent along. So nothing too much to report there, but it's kind of in progress. I feel like
actually, maybe you can send the links to all 4 talks around, because they're SimPEG's involved in all of them. So.
Yeah, so I think they're all in Dropbox. I don't think we can post them on YouTube. I don't actually know, because it's SEG. They'll probably be upset about that if we make all of our talks free when they want you to pay for the conference. So, but we can send them around internally on Slack for sure. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Because you were talking about UXO, yeah, I think you saw that Jan Wilhelm IA even replied. So he finished this one, the student, where we had to look with this Euler backward stepping in time, and his thesis. He posted the link, I think, right? Yeah. For anyone interested.
Sorry, Dieter, what was this? And
he did
the UXO problem.
Yeah, he did the master thesis with us, which was a couple of months with Fugro for detecting bombs, mainly offshore. Like the target would be here offshore the Netherlands on the coast, where there are a lot of bombs, usually from fighters that left and dropped it before going home, or after the war that were dumped into the water. And now with all the offshore windmill activity, it's a problem, so they want to detect them. And he used SimPEG to see mainly about how large it has to be detectable and stuff like this. Yeah.
So do you have a link to his thesis?
Yeah, in general, the last message actually posted on Slack in general. It's Jan Willem Baust, and it's here under the here. That's the link to the TU Delft repository.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I can repost it in meeting, I guess.
Excellent. I guess actually one other update that I would be curious to hear folks' thoughts on. So through Swung, we're thinking about doing an event similar to Transform, but more focused on research. Probably sort of end of November, end of November timeline. And I'm meeting with a few folks tomorrow, Steve and a couple others who are sort of championing the organization of this. But just trying to think through like what would be an interesting, useful event that you'd be excited to participate in with this community. Sort of thinking, so the Transform really focused on tools and what sorts of tools, either training, like, you know, providing tutorials and things like that, or also the hackathon and building new resources for the community. This, I think, is meant to be, or we're thinking sort of more along the lines of like, what are the next questions we want to be answering and who do we need to be connecting to make that happen? And then sort of think through the tools side of things. So I don't know if anyone has ideas on like how you'd like to see an event like that happen. If you want to see talks, if you want to see more just targeted discussion, breakout group kind of things. Yeah.
For me, what I always enjoy seeing, and doesn't have to be long, is just the latest, brightest that people have either seen or developed, right? Just so that I have a pretty quickly understanding of, you know, what people have seen the most recent, and then that we could probably use.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, which is kind of usual, the usual conference thing, but if we could pack it in a more geoscience open source form, that would be super useful to me. Yeah. Because I can't keep track of, you know, I can't stay on Swung and read all the threads. There's a million a day. So I lose track of the good stuff that is being posted.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dom.
I guess I would go a bit into the line of these lightning talks, like 5, 10, 15 minutes, folks talking about. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you think about that then followed by discussion? Do you think that would be like, if we sort of have a theme, so if we maybe have, I don't know, a 2 or 3 hour event, we spend 45 minutes on lightning talks and then have time to chat afterwards?
I think that's a bit tough because when you have a big group, it just, you know, swamps. There's only 1 or 2 that speaks tons and then the rest don't. I think it would be interesting if the people who give lightning talks, if they could be in their own respective channels or like like Zoom account or whatever. So you could like basically during the next 3 hours, just cycle to the talks that you want to talk to the person. And then you go to that room and say, hey, your talk was nice. Can I ask this question? And blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
That would be cool. So in a sense, it's like a lightning talk plus virtual poster session in a sense, or virtual coffee, whatever, chance to chat with people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate it. I'll bring
just
this.
a bit more focus, right? So if you want to ask a.
Sorry, go ahead. I chopped out.
Oh, I didn't see anything interesting.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, well, thanks. I'll bring this to folks tomorrow. And if in the meantime, if you have any other ideas or things that I don't know, you'd like to see, feel free to just ping me and send a message, and I can bring that up to folks.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't do 45 minutes lightning talks and then discussions, because probably 1 or 2 topic would take overhand and the others would get forgotten. It would have to be lightning talk and short discussion, lightning talk, short discussion, or like Dom said, it with breakout rooms or stuff like that.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, does anyone else have other topics, questions, things you'd like to bring up?
I will ask that question for the 500 times because DC is fully NA, John. We're like master is up to date. It's
with
really
Bask,
good.
Sorry, DC or MT?
DC.
Yep, it's all up on master.
You're working off of that too for your own stuff.
For DC, I'm working off of that, but MT, I'm still on my simulation MT branch.
Yeah, we lost the bid on MT, so I'm back to DC.
Fair enough, yeah. It happens.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks everyone. I guess we'll see, for those of you who can join on Friday, we'll see you there. Take care.
Excellent. Sagi, are you around for a bit after this?
I have a meeting at 11:30, so I only have a 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll contact you after.
Yeah, sounds
Thanks,
good.
Lance.
See ya.
Bye, guys.